Under the same roof, we share the love. Embracing the differences like hand in glove.
Testing 1, 2, 3, testing.
Spreading peace and joy, it's a beautiful sight. Together we shine in each other's light. Why do we stand in love's pure might? Watching the world share in love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. Colors of harmony painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might.
All right, thank you for tuning in to the channel. It appears that we do have some breaking news in regards to Charlie Kirk. It's rather sad what happened in this case, but we're going to get to it and see what Cash Patel has to say regarding this matter. Thank you guys for tuning in. So right now we're just waiting for the press conference to kick off. All right, so we're less than 2 minutes before the press conference kicks off, so we're going to see what they have to say. As far as the individual that took the life of Charlie Kirk, he has been apprehended, so we get to hear the details of the story. Bordeaux, good morning, welcome. Okay, it's about to kick off, folks. I don't know how many of you guys saw what Donald Trump had to say this morning. I believe it was on Fox that at some way or form, the individual that allegedly did this, a local minister, helped him turn himself in along with his father. So we're about to get to hear the details of how that transpired. And again, this is going to be with Cash Patel. At least that's what they're saying so far. So stay tuned as we cover the story and see what happened. Skippy, the left is done. No one is going to vote for these nut jobs. Okay, I understand that. So we're waiting to see if this individual is really a part of the left. Was he a Democrat left? There was some trans notes left, so we have to see if that somehow is tied into this whole story as well. So we're waiting to see what happens. They just announced it would be less than 4 minutes. It's been over 4 minutes, so stay tuned. They should be on air soon to hear the breaking details about the individual that took the life, allegedly, of Charlie Kirk. And I do think that if it turns out that this individual had left motives or Democratic, if they try to spin it that way, it's going to be a lot of trouble. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Petey Red says, yeah, they caught the little weak man, was turned in by his family, and I'm glad he didn't get a chance to off himself. Okay, great. Thank you for sharing your comments as well. But again, I think that this could turn out to be a disaster if they can tie this to being a left or a right motive. Maybe we'll hear a little bit about that now when they kick off this press conference. It should start any moment. Thank you guys for tuning in. Tell us where you're from, where you're tuning in from as you come in. Morning, Texas. How are you? Yeah, definitely, PD. I definitely agree with you. It's going to be big trouble, as Donald Trump would say, bigly trouble, if they turn this into a liberal movement. Yes, he was. They say he was from Utah. From what I've seen so far, it doesn't seem like a professional hit. Initially, it kind of seemed that way, but perhaps not. And again, for those that are just coming in, Cash Patel is going to be leading this press conference to give us an update about the individual that took the life, allegedly, of Charlie Kirk. We're just waiting to see what's going to be said here. It looks like they're about to start any moment now. Here we go. Let's see. We look forward to your comments. Tell us where you're from. You should be able to hear now. Sorry about that.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We got him. On the evening of September 11th, a family member of Tyler Robinson reached out to a family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with information that Robinson had confessed to them or implied that he had committed the incident. This information was relayed to the Utah County Sheriff's Office and scene investigators at Utah Valley University. This information was also conveyed to the FBI. Investigators reviewed additional video footage from UVU surveillance and identified Robinson arriving on UVU campus in a gray Dodge Challenger at approximately 8:29 a.m. on September 10th, in which he is observed on video in a plain maroon t-shirt, light-colored shorts, a black hat with a white logo, and light-colored shoes. When encountered in person by investigators in Washington County on September 12th, in the early morning hours, Robinson was observed in consistent clothing with those surveillance images. Investigators interviewed a family member of Robinson who stated that Robinson had become more political in recent years. The family member referenced a recent incident in which Robinson came to dinner prior to September 10th, and in the conversation with another family member, Robinson mentioned Charlie Kirk was coming to UVU. They talked about why they didn't like him and the viewpoints that he had. The family member also stated Kirk was full of hate and spreading hate. The family member also confirmed Robinson had a gray Dodge Challenger. Investigators identified an individual as the roommate of Robinson. Investigators interviewed that roommate, who stated that his roommate, referring to Robinson, made a joke on Discord. Investigators asked if he would show them the messages on Discord. He opened it and showed several messages to investigators and allowed investigators to take photos of the screen as each message was shown by Robinson's roommate. These photos consisted of various messages, including content of messages between the phone contact name Tyler with an emoji icon and Robinson's roommate's device. The content of these messages included messages affiliated with the contact Tyler, stating a need to retrieve a rifle from a drop point, leaving the rifle in a bush, messages related to visually watching the area where a rifle was left, and a message referring to having left the rifle wrapped in a towel. The messages also refer to engraving bullets and a mention of a scope and the rifle being unique. Messages from the contact Tyler also mentioned that he had changed outfits. I know there's been speculation as well as to the writing on those casings, those bullet casings, and I believe we have that as well. And I will share that with you now. So the area north of Campus Drive Road where the suspect crossed over, you saw some of that in the video that we released last night, consists of a grassy area with trees on the edge of the UVU campus. Investigators discovered a bolt-action rifle wrapped in a dark-colored towel. The rifle was determined to be a Mauser Model 98 30-06 caliber bolt-action rifle. The rifle had a scope mounted on top of it. Investigators noted inscriptions that had been engraved on casings found with the rifle. Inscriptions on a fired casing read, "Notices, bulges, capital OWO, what's this, question mark." Inscriptions on the 3 unfired casings read, "Hey fascist, exclamation point, catch, exclamation point." Up arrow symbol, right arrow and symbol, and 3 down arrow symbols. A second unfired casing read, "Oh Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Chow Chow." And a third unfired casing read, "If you read this, you are gay, LMAO." We are indebted to law enforcement across the state who's worked seamlessly together, local law enforcement, state law enforcement, and our federal partners with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. We're grateful for everyone who worked together in such a short amount of time to find this person and to bring justice. I want to thank the public who has been so engaged, reviewing videos, helping us with sending in tips, and helping us get to this point. I want to thank the family members of Tyler Robinson who did the right thing in this case and were able to bring him into to law enforcement as well. I especially want to thank the family of Charlie Kirk, Erica, Charlie's parents, his children. I want us to be thinking of them as we bring justice in this case. They will be involved in that justice. We will be working very closely with them as we move through this process as well. This is a very sad day for our country, a terrible day for the state of Utah, but I'm grateful that at this moment we have an opportunity to bring closure to this very dark chapter in our nation's history. With that, I will now turn the microphone over to the Director of the FBI, Kash Patel.
Thank you, Governor. This is what happens when you let good cops be cops. The FBI and our partners are proud to stand here today together to bring justice to the family of Charlie Kirk and honor his memory. I want to express my deep gratitude to President Trump, the Vice President, and the entire White House who have been so incredibly supportive with both resources and just personally to the FBI as a team. They had our backs the entire way, and I just want to express my gratitude for giving us the resources we need to operate in this space to bring this sort of justice at this sort of speed. In 33 hours, we have made historic progress for Charlie. Governor Cox, our partnership has been absolutely incredible these last few days. Our partnership will endure. Your state and local partners, your sheriffs, your DPS community has been unbelievably impressive in the hardest of times. And a case like this cannot be solved, cannot be brought without partnering with your state and local authorities. The FBI has a certain role to play, and we will play that role, and we will lead out for the federal government. But Governor Cox, we are so grateful for your state partnership that led out on this investigation. A little bit of the timeline. Charlie was shot at 12:23 p.m. on Wednesday. The first FBI agents arrived on scene in 16 minutes with chiefs of police at 12:39 and secured the scene. The FBI immediately launched fixed-wing assets. We utilized these assets to transport personnel specialty technicians, hostage rescue teams. We also utilize these assets to go back and forth from the East Coast and here in Utah to transport forensic evidence and other evidence that will be analyzed and is being analyzed at our FBI laboratories in Quantico and other laboratories, including the ATF. At my direction, the FBI released the first set of FBI photos of the suspect at 10 a.m. local time on 9/11. Then, shortly thereafter, the FBI reward of $100,000 was released at 10:45 a.m. local. Myself and Deputy Director Bongino arrived on the scene at approximately 5:30 p.m. on 9/11. The governor led a press conference last night at approximately 8 p.m., where at my direction, the FBI released a never-before-seen video of the suspect. We also released new images to the public of the suspect. And just last night, the suspect was taken into custody at 10 p.m. local time. In less than 36 hours, 33 to be precise, thanks to the full weight of the federal government and leading out with the partners here in the state of Utah and Governor Cox, the suspect was apprehended in a historic time period. And I want to highlight what Governor Cox said. This would not have been possible without you, the media, and you, the public. That's why we went so public, so fast, and we're so transparent, and we're committed to that transparency. The crime scene, just a little bit there. It is a large crime scene. State and local authorities, along with federal authorities, processed that crime scene quickly. And I even had the ability to walk through that crime scene and walk through the steps the suspect took to learn more about what was needed and what resources we needed to bear to create a full picture for the FBI and leadership back in Washington. Furthermore, thankfully to state and local partners, forensic evidence has been seized and continues to be garnered. Forensic evidence has already been evaluated at FBI laboratories in Quantico and state and local authorities here. We will continue to process evidence as we see it, as we collect it, and we will continue to deliver to Governor Cox and his team. Last night, we had a total of approximately 7,000 leads. As of this morning, thanks to your great work, we have over 11,000 leads that were called in to the FBI. And we are running out every single lead that we can. Every one of those leads will be run out. The arrest is a testament to the dedication of good law enforcement being great and partnerships in law enforcement, which I've tried to highlight as my tenure as the director of the FBI. There is no better relationship for law enforcement than the FBI to partner with state and local authorities, and you've seen it here in these last few days. The FBI Salt Lake Field Office, along with our offices in LA, Phoenix, Denver, San Antonio, Las Vegas, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, our headquarters component in Quantico, all participate in the FBI. I want to express my deep gratitude to the employees of the FBI, the men and women, the evidence response team tacticians, the special operators, the agents, the support staff. You have done monumental work in historic time when the public, who had a right to demand such an expeditious solving of an investigation, the FBI answered that call diligently, critically important to our nation, and we delivered. And I'm proud to be their leader, and I'm proud to be the director of the FBI. This is a very much an ongoing investigation, as the governor said, and we will continue to work with state and local authorities to develop the investigation, to provide them the evidence they need for their ongoing prosecutions, and we will be here to answer every call they absolutely have, as long as it takes, for as long as we need to find and apprehend whatever suspects were involved in this crime. Lastly, to my friend Charlie Kirk, rest now, brother. We have the watch, and I'll see you in Valhalla.
Thank you, and good morning. I would just like to take a few minutes as the sheriff to express my gratitude for everybody who has played a part in this investigation. As you know, it's been a vast, a complicated, and a very, very fast-paced investigation. You're looking at people standing up here who are running on, if they got an hour's sleep in the last couple of days, they're probably lucky. It has been very taxing. It has been so impressive, speaking on behalf of the local law enforcement, to see the cooperation that we've seen in this type of case. Across the state, sheriffs, chiefs, our state partners have stepped up and have come to the call on anything that we needed. Our county chiefs have been phenomenal. Our Utah County Attorney, Jeff Gray, who's standing up here with us, has been phenomenal in leading us through this investigation. I would like to thank the federal government for their resources, their assets. Our local team here, our FBI team, has been extraordinary in helping us work through this and bring this person to justice. Most of all, I would like to thank the public, and specifically, I would like to thank the public who turned to prayers and who turned to positiveness for us. I would like to thank them on behalf of the law enforcement community, because we needed those prayers. That's what we needed to get through this. We needed your support, and you gave it to us. We needed your patience, and you gave it to us. And I would like to thank you for the Kirk family, because that's what they need, is your support and your prayers, and that will get us through all of this. So thank you, everybody, for everybody that have stepped up. We've had such a phenomenal response to this. Thank you.
I also want to give a special thanks to the Attorney General and the Department of Justice. Their unwavering support and their commitment to justice is shown true here. And without AG Bondi and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche and the resources they brought to bear, we would not have been able to complete our mission. And I just want to say special thanks. It's an honor to be a part of the Department of Justice.
Thank you again to our incredible law enforcement team who has worked so hard. Sheriff, I got a solid 90 minutes last night, so I'm probably the most well-rested person up here. Ladies and gentlemen, I get the microphone, so I hope you'll permit me a moment just to share a few more thoughts about where we are and how we got here, and maybe,
Guys, hit the like button if you don't mind.
I don't want to get too preachy, but I think it's important that we, with eyes wide open, understand what's happening in our country today. I've heard people say, well, why are we so invested in this? There's violence happening all across our country, and violence is tragic everywhere. And every life taken is a child of God who deserves our love and respect and dignity. This is certainly about the tragic death, political assassination of Charlie Kirk. But it is also much bigger than an attack on an individual. It is an attack on all of us. It is an attack on the American experiment. It is an attack on our ideals. This cuts to the very foundation of who we are, of who we have been, and who we could be in better times. Political violence is different than any other type of violence for lots of different reasons. One, because in the very act that Charlie championed of expression, that freedom of expression that is enshrined in our founding documents, in having his life taken in that very act, makes it more difficult for people to feel like they can share their ideas, that they can speak freely. We will never be able to solve all the other problems, including the violence problems that people are worried about, if we can't have a clash of ideas safely and securely. Even, especially those ideas with which you disagree. That's why this matters so much. Over the last 48 hours, I have been as angry as I have ever been, as sad as I have ever been. And it was, as anger pushed me to the brink, it was actually Charlie's words that pulled me back. I'd like to share some of those. And specifically right now, if I could, I need to talk to the young people in our state, in my state, and all across the country. As President Trump reminded me, he said, you know who really loved Charlie? The youths. And he's right. Young people loved Charlie, and young people hated Charlie. And Charlie went into those places anyway. And these are the words that have helped me. Charlie said, when people stop talking, that's when you get violence. He said, the weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong. The only way out of the labyrinth of suffering is to forgive. Welcome without judgment, love without condition, forgive without limit. He said, always forgive your enemies. Nothing annoys them so much. A few months ago, I referenced this last night, Charlie posted to social media, when things are moving very fast and people are losing their minds, it's important to stay grounded. Turn off your phone, read scripture, spend time with friends, and remember, internet fury is not real life. It's going to be okay. He again said, when you stop having a human connection with someone you disagree with, it becomes a lot easier to commit violence. He said, what we as a culture have to get back to is being able to have a reasonable agreement, where violence is not an option. Now, again, to my young friends out there, you are inheriting a country where politics feels like rage. It feels like rage is the only option. But through those words, we have a reminder that we can choose a different path. Your generation has an opportunity to build a culture that is very different than what we are suffering through right now. Not by pretending differences don't matter, but by embracing our differences and having those hard conversations. I think we need more moral clarity right now. I hear all the time that words are violence. Words are not violence. Violence is violence. And there is one person responsible for what happened here. And that person is now in custody and will be charged soon and will be held accountable. And yet all of us have an opportunity right now to do something different. I want to thank my fellow Utahns. You know, this bad stuff happens. For 33 hours, I was praying that if this had to happen here, that it wouldn't be one of us, that somebody drove from another state, somebody came from another country. Sadly, that prayer was not answered the way I had hoped for, just because I thought it would make it easier on us if we could just say, hey, we don't do that here. And indeed, Utah is a special place. We lead the nation in charitable giving. We lead the nation in service every year. But it did happen here. And it was one of us. But I want you to look at how Utahns reacted the last 2 nights. There was no rioting. There was no looting. There were no cars set on fire. There was no violence. There were vigils and prayers and people coming together to share the humanity. And that, ladies and gentlemen, I believe is the answer to this. We can return violence with violence. We can return hate with hate. And that's the problem with political violence, is it metastasizes, because we can always point the finger at the other side. And at some point, we have to find an off-ramp, or it's going to get much, much worse. But see, these are choices that we can make. History will dictate if this is a turning point for our country. But every single one of us gets to choose right now if this is a turning point for us. We get to make decisions. We have our agency. And I desperately call on every American, Republican, Democrat, liberal, progressive, conservative, MAGA, all of us to please, please, please follow what Charlie taught me. I'll just conclude with with words I share often from a friend and author, Yuval Levin, who was asked if he was optimistic about our country, and he said, "I'm not optimistic." He said, "I hate optimism." Like, that sounds bad. But he said, optimism is a vice. It's this idea that good things are just going to happen. And he said, in the history of the world, good things have never just happened. He says, I'm not optimistic, but I am hopeful. And hope is the virtue that sits between the vices of optimism and pessimism. Hope is the idea that good things are going to happen because we can make them so. I still believe in our country. And I know Charlie Kirk believed in our country. I still believe that there is more good among us than evil. And I still believe that we can change the course of history. I'm hopeful because Americans can make it so. Ladies and gentlemen, we're happy to answer any questions you might have.
Governor, can you please speak to whether the suspect is speaking with authorities and his demeanor, Tyler Robinson, when he turned himself in?
I cannot speak to that.
Governor, how do you interpret his motivation? Governor, how do you interpret the engravings on the case of
Well, I will leave that up to you to interpret what those engravings mean. I think the clearest one that says "catch fascist," there's not. And by the way, that's like catch like a ball, catch this. That's I think that speaks for itself.
Governor, you indicated that he had been communicating. Beyond that, is there anything in your view that you discovered that may have radicalized or changed him to prompt him to commit such a horrific?
There's nothing more that we can share at this time.
Governor, you indicated that you had been communicating with a friend on Discord about the gun. Do you anticipate any more arrests?
We do not at this time have any information that would lead to any additional arrests.
Do you believe you acted alone?
Yes, but the investigation is ongoing.
How he came into custody of police and where he is right now?
Yes, so right now, Mr. Robinson has been booked into the Utah County Jail. You heard the president this morning report that he was taken into custody, that his family and a friend helped to deliver him into custody of law enforcement in Washington County. For those of you that don't know where Washington County is, it is the southwesternmost part of the state of Utah. It's about a 3.5 to 4 hour drive from here, where we are right now, and that's where he lived and where they turned him in. Please, I'll go here. I can't share any more than what I've already shared. Yeah. So how we obtained the gun? The gun was found here. Yeah, so I don't have much more details on that. We do know that he drove. We had his car here on campus, and then we had his car going south back to the St. George. It's actually the city of Washington in Washington County.
Is he talking with authorities and did he discuss a motive?
I'm sorry? We don't have any information that would lead us to believe that. Yes, in fact, it was just released. Yes.
Talking with authorities and did he discuss a motive?
I can't answer that right now. Yeah, thank you. Over here. I absolutely believe that this is a watershed in American history. Yes. The question is, what kind of watershed? And that chapter remains to be written. Is this the end of a dark chapter in our history or the beginning of a darker chapter in our history. Look, I mean, if you look at true political assassinations in this country of someone of this stature, this feels a lot like the late 60s, and having one so gruesomely displayed on camera in all of our hands and in all of our pockets. We are not wired as human beings biologically, historically. We have not evolved in a way that we are capable of processing those types of violent imagery. And by the way, we've seen another one with a gruesome stabbing very recently that went viral. This is not good for us. It is not good to consume. Social media is a cancer on our society right now. And I would encourage, again, I would encourage people to log off, turn off, touch grass, hug a family member, go out and do good in your community. That is happening, and it's happening organically right now. I had a friend in a small city in Utah who said, we're getting together, the Republicans and Democrats in my little town are getting together to have a discussion tonight. Last night, just to find a way to find their better angels. So yes, this could be. I mean, you know, again, you have to go back to JFK to have seen a video live of something like this happening. I wasn't born until 1975, but I know that things were really dark in the late 60s. Sorry to some of you. I know some of you were there, but this is our moment. Do we escalate, or do we find an off-ramp? And again, it's a choice. It's a choice, and every one of us gets to make that choice. Two more questions right here.
Could we clarify that the release of those enhanced images at 8 p.m., the timeline that Director Patel gave us, led to the arrest at 10 p.m.? Is there a direct connection between those two events?
I cannot comment if there is a direct connection or not, but all I can say is that that through some process, the family came to know that this had happened.
One more thing, Governor. Could you just clarify the clothing issue you mentioned earlier? Was he changing outfits?
Correct. Yes. So when he's first spotted on campus, he has different clothing on, and then he changes clothing on the roof, and then changed back into that clothing at some point, so that when he was apprehended, when he was arrested, the clothing matched the clothing he had on before the shooting here at UVU. Last question here. Yes.
Suspect was freshly caught. Can you kind of tell us a little bit more about where, and was he a student here at this university, and is there any history of mental illness?
Yeah. So I don't have any information on the mental illness part. He was not a student here at UVU. He was living and had lived for a long time with his family in Washington County, in the southernmost part of our state. Thank you, everyone, for your great work in getting this information out. I just say, process-wise, this may be important. I know many of you aren't familiar with the process in Utah. I think it's important that you understand that. Basically, we have 3 days for charging documents to be filed. A CI will be filed. We'll have more information then, more detailed information as those charging documents are filed in preparation for a preliminary hearing. So 3 days. So, you know, we would anticipate then that early next week, those charging documents will be filed. We will obviously be working, the county attorney will be working very closely with Mr. Kirk's family as those documents and decisions are prepared and made. Thanks, everyone.
All right, so there you have it. We have the press conference. We have a lot of comments. I'm going to go through a few of these. I think trouble is on the way, and I'll tell you why. What I've seen on social media is that a lot of people, especially of color, have responded in a negative way in regards to this Charlie Kirk. And a lot of it's because of certain things that he said over the years, especially when it comes to shock jock. He said a lot of things about blacks being inferior. And so with that being said, I do see a lot of people on the right saying we need to line up the left and we need to get a handle on this now. We need to take these lefties out. So there's a lot of commotion in the air. And they're going to use this case, this incident of a life that should not have been taken, to push a different agenda. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this is going to be pushed, because if the story, the narrative comes out that this guy was a trans or he was a lefty, this is going to go all the way left in the real sense of the words, because of the climate and because of the current social as well as political climate, there are some people that are just waiting to show their anger. They want to show their evil or whatever. So it's a very tricky time. So we'll have to stay tuned. I'm going to be covering what happens next. Hopefully, we can pull together through this, but it might turn a different direction. We just don't know, but we just wait and see. But in many cases, as I discussed on Sunday, a lot of people are prepared. One of my clients, who happens to be an FBI agent, told me that in a lot of the Midwest states, they have all the ammunition. So when you come to the blue states, there's not a lot of ammunition, right? Not as much. So I think you get the idea of why it would be advantageous for people to try to find a way to heal and try to spread love instead of hate. Because while we, as members of the same country, are trying to put ourselves in a box under a certain label and trying to figure out how we can be different or better than your neighbor, the next man, we see on a broader scale, such as Russia, North Korea, China, India meeting. A lot of people have joined BRICS. So we see around the world, people are actually taking opposition, perhaps positioning themselves against the United States, while we implode with hate and trying to figure out why this guy is less or inferior to the next one. So it looks like we have a recipe for disaster, but it could be possible that we could unite and try to find a better way forward instead of violence. Now, one of the things that Charlie had said, that when people stop talking, that's when the violence come in. And I'm pretty sure even in grade school, you'd have arguments, or you'd have those mama jokes, your mama this, my mama this. When the person ran out of a good joke or a good punchline, they started punching, right? So that's what we're starting to see. We're starting to see a lot of hate in broad daylight. This man was taken out in front of his wife and his 2 children, very similar to how Malcolm X went out, just as far as how the delivery of the unalivement happened. So we say all that to say that we have to find a better way forward, or it's going to keep getting out of control. Because notice what he said, what happened in North Carolina on the train. So all of these narratives that are happening are tying into a bigger narrative that could be very deadly in this country. So we have to see what happens. All right, we have a lot of comments rolling through. I'll try to get through some of them. Endo says, we never had rich and entitled mama jokes and prank each other with, remember that. Yes, indeed. Thank you for that comment, Endo. And guys, thank you for your participation. Please hit the like button, share, and subscribe. It really helps the channel. Thank you so much. Richard says, dialogue died, trust in media killed, civil war next. And that's what you hear. If you go to a lot of these sites, you see a lot of that jargon about civil war. People are just itching to take out their neighbors, and they're not even concerned. They would choose to fight their neighbor here in the same country versus trying to figure out a way to deal with the whole world at large, right? That's very shocking. Endo says Martin Luther King was taken out in front of his family and friends and in front of the whole world watching. They're absolutely great example. Benja says he promoted evil speech and he got evil he swore by. He lived by the sword and he died by the sword. Is that what you're saying, Benja? Okay. Ron Camp says comparing him to JFK. right? Okay, thank you, Ron. Thanks for all your comments, folks. AI says nobody finna slide. Okay, so you don't think anything is really going to happen. Shadow Pop says when people talk too much, that is the trouble starts. Okay, so that's a good point. I think the minute you come out in public and you start talking, you put yourself on the front stage. You have to be able to take the heat to a certain extent because you become known, you become popular, and sometimes that leads to a terrible situation, especially if you're not watching what you say. Unfortunately, and I hate to tell you the truth, but I'm going to tell it to you, on social media, the sound bites, a lot of those sound bites about Charlie Kirk are negative because they're spliced to the point where he's saying ill things about people of color and so forth and so on. Now, everybody's entitled to their opinion, but I'm just saying this is why you're getting such a vast negative response on social media when it comes to Charlie. Marky Mark, shout out to you. Thanks for having you back in the chat, back in the building. Man says Satan worshiping communists reside. Okay, here. Okay. I'm not sure who worships the devil here, but thank you for your comment. Sam Wakefield says Tyler Robinson will not escape Utah judgment. I think he's in hot water. I think they're already talking about this being a case where his life is on the line, folks. The death penalty is definitely already on the table. That's what they're saying. I'm just telling you what they said. All right, let's look at a few more comments. Okay, let's see here. Okay, Benja says, like Trump and Gaza. Okay, Gaza is a subject we really need to cover as well, as long as Israel. A lot of these subjects can lead you to the same fate if you're not careful what you're talking about. So we try to be very judicious. Man says celebrating murder is not love. Exactly. Definitely not love at all. Okay. Okay, Benja says, like Trump spreads love. I think you're perhaps asking that as a question. Okay, very good. Foggy says, we won't forget what the Democrats have done to America. So immediately when this happened, the narrative immediately went to this being a liberal Democrat before they even knew exactly what the shooter looked like. So this is trouble, folks. And we have to really take these times seriously because when you go out in public, people are spazzing out, as they say. You're not even safe when you go to your grocery shopping, Walmart, wherever you go. You just have to be very alert. And nowadays, you see it in the case that happened down in North Carolina with the young lady on the train. I think she was looking at her phone, peering into her phone, and just so quickly she's attacked. So we have to stay alert. And the more these cases happen, the more we're going to be dealing with these situations at a higher level, even to the extent that you have to constantly be on alert, be vigilant while you're out in public. Okay, just a few more comments. Deborah Phil is here. Deborah says, I feel like people with no guns will not be the aggressor, Mel. I agree with you, Deborah. I agree with you. Okay, Richard says Trump is burning down the house. All right. He's burning down the house. Thank you, Richard, for your comment. So, in closing, I just want to make sure I stress to everyone that we're not here to promote this hate. I see so much of it just with a brief turn on of social media. People have turned this Charlie Kirk into a lot of people are mourning his death. Don't get it wrong. A lot of people are using this as a time to try to make themselves look good by pretending to be so concerned about the guy when most of them probably didn't know him from Adam. But there is a vast amount of people on social media that are making fun of the situation. And because they've seen derogatory statements, unfortunately, that came from this individual. So who knows where this is going, but I will tell you this, and I will come back to this in the future. If they come out, especially here with the FBI, if they come out and they spin this, that this guy was a liberal, he's a Democrat, Democrats are no good, and all he hated Republicans, believe you me, there's going to be a lot of trouble in the air. So stay alert and stay smart, folks. I look forward to having you guys come back on as we continue to chat about these matters that are quite troubling, especially if you have a family. Everybody wants what's best for their family and friends. So what can we do going forward? Well, that's what we're going to discuss from here on out, and I'll be back on soon to chat with each and every one. And thank you to all the moderators that came through today. I saw Bordeaux, I saw Eric, I saw Mashona in the building. Okay, very good. I saw Gold Digger. And Deborah's in the house. Deborah likes it when we say her name. So Deborah, and shout out to your husband too, Deborah. Thank you for everyone who participated today, and we'll be back on soon. Thank you.
Different voices, but the same song. Loving a world where we all belong. Breaking the chains. In the symphony of love, the thing remains. Embracing diversity, brighter days in sight. Watching the world sharing love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. Colors of harmony, painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might. Watching the world sharing love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. The colors of harmony, painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might.